Welcome to Through the Ruth, where we explore life inside the walls we call home and the lives we build within them. I'm Ruth, property professional, storyteller and lover of all things home. Each week, we'll open the door to real stories behind the scenes of the property industry, design, inspiration and practical tips for shifting house, creating calm spaces and keeping your home safe, secure and beautifully comfortable. Because whether you own, rent or simply dream, everyone deserves to feel at home. So make yourself at home. You're listening to Through the Ruth. Welcome back to Through the Ruth, the podcast where we get to the heart of home. I'm Ruth Matthews, and today I want to talk to you about something that goes beyond bricks, leases and maintenance calls. It's about safety and what happens when a tenant feels unsafe in their own home. This story isn't dramatic for the sake of drama, it's real. It's something that happens more often than we would like to admit, and it reminded me of just how important compassion is in the world of property management. It's about a night I'll never forget when one of the properties I managed was broken into. But this isn't just a story about locks and alarms. It's about how we respond when something happens to the places we call home, and how we find calm, compassion and care even when everything else feels shaken. It was late one night when I got the call, the kind that makes your heart drop before you even hear all the details. A tenant had come home to find their front door wide open and the unmistakable signs that someone has been inside. As a property manager, you're trained to be calm and practical, but in moments like that, you're human first. My first thought wasn't paperwork or procedure. It was, where are you right now? Are you safe? Where are they? Are you sure no one else is still in there? And first of all, have you called the police? Thankfully, the police were already on their way. The tenants were shaken and the home, their safe space, suddenly didn't feel safe anymore. They were waiting out the front, and before going further in, they had called the police and were simply waiting for the police to show. They had looked down the passage of the home and it wasn't as simple as the door had just not secured right and been pushed open. With the wind, there was definitely something not right. When the police arrived, they went through the house with my tenants waiting out the front to ensure the coast was clear. The police officer asked them to join him once they had checked and they started seeing the damage. It wasn't about the broken window or even the missing TV. It was about knowing your safe space, your safety in the world, had been violated with an uninvited person helping themselves to anything they wanted. In the following days, I had to juggle the logistics, of course, the insurance, repairs, security checks, etc., but also the human side. I booked to go through the home with the locksmith and with the tenants themselves, of course, once the insurance had done their part and given us the coast as clear. The owner instructed in this instance for us to get extra locks onto the windows. We had to change the keys and get the locksmith's recommendation on weaknesses around the property and where it could be made better. That small gesture from the owner, more than the new locks itself, helped our tenants to start to feel at home again. It wasn't a legal requirement, as this home had locks already in place and was compliant, but the owner being willing to pay for it to be more improved without the tenant's request or even asking allowed them to feel heard and that they were not on their own. In total, there was a broken window, a damaged front door lock where the perpetrators had obviously tried the entry point unsuccessfully, and some damage to the gyprock walls in the passage where it looked like perhaps somebody had fallen over with a TV in hand. The TV was taken, the surround stereo system was gone, some jewellery, some watches and a heap of DVDs being the final list. These tenants went on to stay at the property for another 3 years and never had another incident again. Now, whether that is because of the additional safety measures, their own awareness and vigilance of their surroundings, or the fact that it was so unusual that this particular suburb had a break-in in the first place. They remained because not once did they need to ask for more. the owner covered the insurance for the property damage and went above the expectation of the tenants for additional measures arranged without question, and the tenants had their own contents insurance, thankfully, that covered their losses. That experience changed the way I see my role as a property manager. It isn't just about the keys and contracts, it's about the people and peace of mind. A home should be the one place that wraps you in safety, and when the safety is shaken, it's our job as managers and landlords to help rebuild that trust. So I want to come up with some practical tips to help you avoid such an occurrence. If you've ever experienced a break-in or you worry about it, here are a few things I've learnt that can make a difference. 1. Know your lights. Good lighting deters most break-ins. Look for the darker places around the home, as they're usually the easiest point of access for somebody to spend plenty of time breaking in, and focus on adding more lighting to that area, especially sensor lights, as it helps the ongoing costs keep it down, simply rather than leaving a light on all night every night. 2. Check all the locks in the house from time to time, not just when you're needing to use it. Not only do locks wear from the use, but they're always also able to see if someone has tried to mess with it too. You can see if somebody has been trying to knock or kick through a door. They may not have been successful, but you may not be noticing that there's a change to that area if you're not looking every 3 months or so, just to keep an eye on it. Just because there is a lock there doesn't mean that it's working or secure. So check all other locks too, not just the main doors that you go in and out of. If you haven't used the windows for some time, lock and unlock. Just check it all to make sure that it's all functioning. It's not unusual for locks also to need just a bit of a service from time to time, with WD-40 for example. Keep your plants trimmed around the home to avoid someone being able to hide what they are doing, such as cutting a window screen. If they're more noticeable from the street, it's not going to be the point of contact they go to. So make sure that everywhere around the house is in clear view from the windows, that there's no trees hiding someone standing up against the window, as an example. If you're not home in the evening, it's a good idea also for number 4 to put some timers on your lamps so it looks like someone is home regularly, and change the timers on and off times occasionally so that you're avoiding routines from being observed as well. Doesn't hurt to have a light on a little bit earlier than when just the street lights come on, for example, and have them come on even at 2 or 3 in the morning for an hour and then go off again. Even if you are home, you learn to overlook this coming on and off, and it is a really good deterrent for somebody who's casing out your street. Unfortunately, it does happen. If you're ever unsure if someone is in your home, number 6 is to call the police. It's better to apologise for wasting their time than it is to be caught by surprise by a stranger standing in your passageway with full pockets. I had that in a open inspection one time. I will do that story another time though, but I have had it happen. Get to know your neighbours is number 7. If you're going away, they can always keep a closer eye on your home, as well as knowing when to approach somebody who's hanging around. If they know you're home and somebody's hanging around, they're not going to be worried so much. But if they know you're away and someone's hanging around, they're not meant to be there. So get to know your neighbours. Have their mobile numbers, for example. I don't know my neighbours very well, but I do have their mobiles. So if I'm ever suspicious, I hear something, I can always message them even when I'm home for my own safety. Or even letting them know you're about to be away, they can check in. Have you come home early? We heard something. So it's good to get to know your neighbours in that way. So whether you're a tenant or the owner, remember, fear after a break-in is real. It will take time to heal emotionally, not just fix the things physically. No one wanted this to happen, especially the owner. They want their home to be protected as much as the tenant wants to feel safe. And a resolve can be met with both parties keeping calm and supportive about the incident. A good agent will be able to offer the support between the two parties to ensure it is remedied as quickly as possible for everybody. Nobody wants a home to be not secure. So just to wrap this up, this night taught me that homes aren't just made of walls, they're made of trust. So thanks for joining me on this episode. I hope you got something out of that might remind you to keep vigilant and to check your own property, to check for its safety. If you are a tenant, it's nothing wrong with asking if the owner can look into either changing some locks or added security. You might be required or approved to add or change some locks at your own cost, which of course those keys and the lock then becomes the owner's at the end, but it's a small price to pay if you're going to be there for a long time. It can be a scenario that is really scary that can turn into something really positive at the end of it. They knew it was safer than it had ever been. So next Sunday, I hope you'll be sharing with me again. It'll be a lighter story, one that proves even a small act of kindness can completely change the way a house feels. So until then, take care of your house and let it take care of you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow Through the Ruth wherever you get your podcasts. And if you've got a story about your home and your experiences, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out ruth@thepmboutique.com.au. So until next time, take a deep breath, look around and remember, home is what you make it.